Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick Trigilli here, IFBB Pro. Welcome back to the Bodybuilding Coach. This is a show where we discuss training, supplements, and nutrition all in one show. But today's episode is dedicated to arm training. Big arms. Who wants big arms out there? I know I did. Well, I still do, but anyway. Back to what we're talking about. Arm training. How do you get big arms? Is it heavyweight? Is it lightweight? A lot of reps? Is it low reps? How many times a week do I train them? I'm going to answer all those questions right now for you in this segment. So, to kick off arm training, the number one thing you have to remember, no heavy weights. I cannot stress it enough. Get rid of the heavy weights. Throw them out. Forget about them. Leave the ego at the door. Training your arms is all about isolation and squeezing and staying focused on what you're trying to do. I see so many people doing arm training like this, not taking it serious, not focused on what they're doing. That is the last thing you should be doing for arms. Just because it's a curling motion and it's aesthetically an easy motion to do, a lot of people don't take it serious. Obviously, when you're bench pressing, it's a little more different. Or you're bent over rowing something, or you're squatting something, you can't focus as well on what you're doing. So people take arm training not as serious. They're like, oh, I can just do this and my arms will grow. It's not that easy. When you really look around, not many people have really good arms. Like good arms. You see some people with big arms, but not defined, not sculpted. You see guys with just big blocky blobs, most of the time. But if you want defined arms, chiseled arms with detail, where you're able to see the triceps, the biceps, your brachialis, your forearm muscles, take your arm training serious. That's all I got to say. And first thing I want to talk about is approach your arm training. Is you probably have to train them more than one time a week. Only because most people don't react off one time a week because genetics are just obviously a superior part of the problem, number one. And number two, they can handle a lot of abuse. Think about it. They're a secondary muscle group in almost every body part you're training, even legs. They're essentially getting work because you're holding a squat bar up. If people deadlift on leg day, they're going to be pulling. So they're essentially getting used every day of the week, every time you're in that gym, and every day, all day long. As soon as you wake up, you brush your teeth, you cook food, you're tying your shoes, you're putting clothes on. They're getting activated all day long. So you need to apply a little more abuse than you think you would for a body part, but not with heavy weight. Now, just very simple comparison. Take your bicep, okay, and draw it on a piece of paper. Take your back muscle and draw it on a piece of paper. Okay? Well, actually, I'll give you one. Just take your quad muscle and draw it on a piece of paper. Look at the size comparison. Now, if you're going to try to do ratios of weight compared to what you would do for your legs or your back or your chest, compared to your biceps or triceps, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous, number one. And number two, this is where injuries happen. And number three, this is where long-term tendonitis comes into play, arthritis, all these little nagging pains that you don't want when you get older. Okay? I'm a prime candidate. I'm going to tell you guys all the mistakes I made. Don't go heavy with arms. It's not needed. I learned that very early in my career. I got the most response out of my arm training when I was focused on what I was doing and getting the hardest contraction I could possibly can with the weight in my hand. So if it was doing 10-pound dumbbells, guys, I would do it. I didn't care. Leave the ego at the door. I guarantee you, if I break down most of your guys' training, whoever's watching this video, and give you guys strict form and isolated exercises where you're just curling with your bicep, not your front delt and not your forearms, you could probably have to do 10, 15-pound dumbbells, the guys that are grabbing the 40s and 30s, thinking that they're Macho Man. Okay? When it comes down to isolating a bicep exercise or isolating a tricep exercise, that means it's all bicep, it's all tricep. There's no secondary muscle groups firing. Of course, you're always going to have your forearms in play, okay? But the most important part is just trying to get your biceps and triceps to be the activated body part when you're training arms, not leveraging with your shoulders or your chest or your back muscles. And that's also about positioning and angles. So maybe the traditional bicep curl for you is not good enough standing up with no isolation applied to it because maybe you're using secondary muscle groups too much because you're swinging, using your hips, using your shoulders, using your back. Maybe the traditional arm workout is not what you need, and that's why your arms aren't growing. Think out of the box, guys. If whatever you're doing today, and if you've been training for at least a year or 2 years, and you have not seen much growth on your arms, it's probably because whatever you're doing is not working. It's not good enough. So stop doing what you're doing. Get out of this bad habit of doing the same thing over and over every week and wondering why they're not growing. That's a number two thing is stick to a lot of volume, a lot of sets, a decent amount of reps. Don't do low reps with your arms. They need a lot of reps. They need a lot of abuse. They need a lot of attention as far as contraction. So when you're contracting up, okay, on the concentric part of the movement, also focus on the eccentric part of the movement. Don't just give up on it. That's a very important part of the bicep exercise and a tricep exercise. It's obviously important on every body part, but essentially your arms because it's a very small muscle. You need to maximize the amount of weight you're using in such a short period of time and a short range of motion. And remember, too, with arms gets boring. I know it gets boring because there's only one motion for each body part. It's either curling up or pushing down. There's really nothing else to it. There's not much variety to it. And most of the machines are pretty much the same thing. You're just sitting in a different position. So the main thing I wanted you to focus on, if you're struggling with arm development, and let's say you did all that. Let's say, hey, Nick, I don't go heavy. And Nick, I do a lot of reps. I'm really focused on contraction, and my arms still don't grow. Well, number three is finding the right angle, okay, and the right positioning, and getting maybe not always doing free weight. I like using cables and bands and machines for arms over free weight, to be honest, because I like being in a fixed position and I like it stabilized so that I can really, really keep all my focus and attention on my muscle that I'm training at that moment. Yes, I do free weights, I'm incorporating them, but I like, okay, and this is what I like better, is machines or something with tension applied to it. Because as soon as there's tension applied to my bicep and tricep, I have such a better connection and dominating workout because I'm feeling it right away before I have to do anything. I'm just holding on to the handle and I can feel my bicep activated already. Opposed to free weight where they're just hanging, you just feel it everywhere. In your shoulder blade, your bicep, your tricep, your forearm, your hands, everywhere. But if I'm a machine and I'm gripped in like this, I can already feel gravity pushing against my arm. I already feel it in my bicep. That's just me mentally. Number two thing you could try is feeling what you're doing. So, unlike any other body part, while you're training it and you're isolating one arm, you could actually touch it with the other one. This goes a long way, guys. If you guys read up research studies about how much the connection is stronger when you be able to touch a body part when you train it, it's a lot. It's a high percentage. I don't want to just throw a number out there, but it's probably at least 30-40% higher if you're able to touch it while you train it. So that's why I like doing arms isolated most of the time because I'm able to feel it while I'm training it, and that gets a much better connection to the body part when instead of just doing this without touching it and feeling it. So you have this advantage right now, and on top of it, you have another advantage of me telling you how to do things and saving years of time. So there's no rush with your arm workout. Stop doing everything together, okay? And start isolating the exercises more. Do 3 isolated exercises in one grouped exercise. And get away from just standardly doing the standard exercises like a standing barbell curl, a standard rope push down. Get creative with your things. Get different angles. And whatever you're doing is not working, change it. Stop staying in the same routine every week, week after week, month after month, year after year, and you're not getting this. You would wonder why you're not growing because whatever you're doing isn't working. Okay? And focus on the contraction. Okay? Get rid of the heavy weight. The heavy weight's not going to lead to anything but bad things in the future. The last thing as far as training them, as far as grouping them into your workouts. So what I like to do is I like to have a distinguished arm day, designated arm day. Let's say it's every Wednesday, right? And then I build my arms in throughout the workout throughout the week. So some days I might throw a bicep in on my shoulder days. Some days I might throw it after a back day. I might have to throw it after a chest day. And then I'll throw my triceps in wherever it's a good time. Like either whatever day I do biceps. It's after back day, it's after chest day. The only time I don't do it is on a leg day. So the reason I don't do any upper body on a leg day, and this is something a little off topic, but you guys can note this, because you want to keep blood in the same area where you're training. You never want to transport blood to different parts of the body when you're trying to train it because the number one reason, you're trying to maximize blood flow to that body part to get growth out of it. So why would you go do legs, put all the blood in your legs, and then try to bring it back to your arms? It's just not going to work, okay? You're not going to get good response out of it. You're not going to get workout out of it. You may think it's working, but it's not, trust me. And plus, you're taking away from what really primarily your body part is, your legs you're trying to work. So the only thing you don't do is put arms on a leg day or put anything on a leg day. Just let legs be legs. As far as arm training goes, stick to cables, machines, things that apply tension already, things that are against gravity. So you want to do machines that are always pulling against the motion you're trying to do. So if you're trying to curl up, try to find something that's pulling down already or pulling away from you. So you always have tension on your bicep before you do anything. Okay, just by immediately grabbing the handle or the grip, you have tension applied. That'll help you also be activated to that body part even more instead of having free weight. And then triceps, obviously find something that's pushing against whatever you're doing to push down or push away. So if you're coming down from the top, try something pushing down immediately so that there's tension applied to the tricep already. If those tips don't work, guys, I don't know. I don't have anything left for you. Maybe get arm implants or something at that point. But I hope my tips this week for arm training helped you guys. If you have any questions, you know where to find me at Nick World Class. If you have anything you want us to review on the show and talk about, email us at info@generationiron.com. Make sure you like and subscribe to Generation Iron. And thanks again for watching. This is Nick Trigili, and I'm signing out.